Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We're going to cover in this video the coverage of Sikh events which usually takes place in the United Kingdom, and what regularly happens with the mainstream media covering our events, especially the BBC. We have seen it again and again. There's a pattern being forming in the coverage which the Sikhs are receiving within UK. If it's anything negative, if it's anything remotely negative towards the community, demonizing the community, making the community look extremist, making the community look any downside, and it's always being put right up on their nonsense, radio channels, BBC Asia, and that Hindu extremist Nihal, a paid patsy, is always covering and given his leftist nonsense about how Sikhs are extremists in UK, how the entire community is full of terrorists, this, that, the other. Whilst when it comes to covering up all their nonsense, they are always doing this again and again, and we see it year after year, time after time, when it comes to covering the basic issues of the Sikh community. We get no coverage whatsoever within this so-called media. The media is pretending that the Sikh community doesn't even exist within the UK. This is the kind of coverage we are getting. We saw June 9th, a massive protest took outside Parliament. Around 30,000 Sikhs from all across UK came together to remember the genocide of the community and a demand of the Sikh nation for self-determination and a homeland of Khalistan. And there was a massive rally. And what does these so-called media organizations do? No coverage. No coverage whatsoever. When it comes to covering the truth, there is no coverage whatsoever. We saw this not so long ago when there was a protest arranged in favor of Lee, the soldier who was brutally murdered by extremists outside an army barracks. There was a protest in favor of the soldier and against by the UF, whatever, the leftist organization, and Sikhs were stranded in the middle, and it was deliberately arranged by the media, and generally, and that, even in that was designed in a way to, the whole thing was to stop the protest which was going outside 10 Downing Street. And the whole attempt was made to crush that protest by having a big, massive, conflict between the protesters and the Sikh community being set up in the middle. And the protest outside 10 Downing Street is now been going on for nearly 5 months, and we have received, again, no coverage whatsoever. It shows you there's a pattern. There's a pattern that they are pretending that the Sikh community in UK doesn't exist. And as Sikhs themselves, first thing foremost, we have to create our own media. We have to create our own independent media. We can't rely on any of these, even the so-called Sikh channels and so-called Sikh community related channels. Independent media is the only way to connect to people and raise your voice within our community and through wider public. Because otherwise there is an clear attempt being made to make sure that there are no such thing as Sikh community whatsoever. And BBC has already said on their main radio channel, it was Nihal who said Sikhs are nothing more than a cult of Hinduism, just a mixture of Islam and Hinduism. So this is the kind of open attack this institution which is partly paid by us, which is doing on to our community. So as a community, we need to strongly condemn and protest and carry a campaign of awareness about the BBC. And there is already a campaign going at the moment. We should all support it. And we should plan protests outside BBC's headquarters whenever we can. We need to get a community together, be as a force. The only way these people are going to listen if we put the boots on the ground, so to speak, in some sense, because this is BBC as an organization. If I want to speak about it, we know it is a institution which has a problem, a huge problem with paraphilia. There was a guy there, Saville, he ran paraphilia gang in that region for 2 decades, and the entire BBC was aware of his activities. But what did they do? Nothing. So to expect anything good from a completely pedophile organization is bad, but it's ludicrous. But the thing is, this institution need to be dealt with by the community at a political level, because they can't, because at the end of the day they are receiving our money. Majority of our TV license funds their activities. So we have to think about it in 2 ways. Either we collectively stop paying, and because it's not worth paying to watch pedophile organization portray their nonsense pedophilia on TV anyway. But as we have to decide as a community to deal with this institution, because there is a deliberate attempt being made to make sure that there is no such thing as Sikhs at all. And that's 5 months of protests right outside Downing Street, completely being ignored by the mainstream UK media, that the one which is paid by the public, and Sikhs are part of that public. There's 1 million of us paying X amount of money towards this channel being running. So I think Sikh communities seriously need to think about what they need to do with their money, and that could be better spent elsewhere, at least in an institution which doesn't demonize you as extremist terrorists and says there is no such thing as Sikhism. It's just a little bit mixture of everything, just like their radio stations and channels have been portraying. So we have to get our act together on this, do a political campaign, and if need to be, we need to put our boots on the ground, so to speak, and protest has to be done against this institution in the front of this, this little hall of pedophilia, they call it, the institution of BBC headquarters. So I urge the entire community to start a campaign which already been started, and support this campaign and carry this campaign on until because without raising awareness we are not going to get anywhere, and without making noise nobody's going to care who you are. So I urge everybody to support this ongoing campaign to get a fairer hearing from the channel we as the public pay for. And I urge all communities who feel, there have been all people who feel that there has been unfair coverage, now they've been demonized, to work with us so we can all work together to get a fairer result. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.